I've always believed every marriage has a final straw moment. Some people hit it when they find secret messages on their partner's phone. Others, when their spouse forgets their birthday 3 years in a row. Mine came wrapped in cheap party lights and the smell of overcooked appetizers. But before that moment, I need to rewind. For months, Melissa had been distant. Not the normal, long day at work. Distant. More like she talks to the cat with more affection than she talks to me distant. Every conversation turned into a masterclass on my supposed flaws. I'd say something simple like, "Do you want coffee?" And she'd respond with, "Maybe try asking less," passively. Like I was auditioning for a role called Husband with No Spine. She loved doing that in front of her friends, a group I privately called the Council of Eye Rolls. Every time we met them, I could feel my IQ drop from breathing the same air. And no, I didn't stay quiet because I was scared. I stayed quiet because arguing with them felt like arguing with a smoke alarm. Loud, pointless, and guaranteed to make your night worse. So that night, we arrived at Laura's house for her birthday party. Music blasting. Too many people. Everyone pretending to have more fun than they actually were. Classic suburban chaos. Melissa instantly gravitated toward her friends, doing her exaggerated laugh. The one that meant she was about to perform her favorite routine. Roast my husband live. I chatted with a coworker for a bit, and then I saw it. Melissa, leaning in close to some guy I'd never seen before. Smiling. A real smile. The kind she usually reserves for cats, new dresses, and discounts at her favorite store. Not for me. He looked like a guy who says he almost became an actor while working sales at a gym. The kind of man who calls himself an entrepreneur because he once bought a domain name. The way she touched his arm. It wasn't friendly. It was, "I'm trying to impress you" level of attention. I walked over, calm and steady. "Melissa, can we talk for a second?" She barely glanced at me, already annoyed. "I'm talking," she snapped. "I see that," I said, "just 2 minutes." "God, you're being dramatic." She said it loudly enough for everyone around to hear. The guy chuckled. Not even a subtle chuckle, but a full confident smirk, like he thought he'd won something. I placed a hand on her elbow, gently, and she jerked it away as if I'd tried to hand her a dirty sock. That's when she turned, looked at me with that sharp little smile she uses when she's about to humiliate someone, and said, "Don't embarrass yourself," loud, clear, public. The music didn't stop, but a few conversations did. 2 women nearby exchanged looks. Someone even raised an eyebrow like they were watching a live reality show. And I just stood there, feeling nothing except a very calm kind of clarity. The kind you get right before you decide to walk away from a rigged game. If she hadn't said that one line, maybe things would have ended differently. But she did. And that sentence started the whole chain reaction. The funny thing about big humiliating moments is that the world doesn't actually stop for them. The music kept playing, people kept drinking. Someone in the background yelled, "Woo!" for no clear reason. But in that little circle around us, things got quiet for about 3 seconds. I looked at Melissa. Melissa looked at me like I was a stain on her dress. The guy next to her, let's call him Chad because of course, shifted his weight like he was waiting to see if I'd start a scene. I didn't. I just said, "Noted," and took a small step back. Melissa blinked, clearly expecting more. A fight. A raised voice. Something she could point at and say, "See? He's crazy." Instead, I gave Chad a polite half-smile. "Enjoy the conversation," I said. "She's very experienced at talking." He laughed nervously. Melissa frowned, not sure if I'd just insulted her. I had. I walked away, not in a dramatic storm-off way, more like a guy going to refill his drink, which technically I was. In the kitchen, I poured myself more wine, mostly out of principle. I don't even like that brand. It tasted like fermented regret. Behind me, I heard 2 women whispering. "Did you hear what she said to him?" "Yeah, that was harsh. He just walked away, I'd cry on the spot." "No, if my husband did that, I'd be the one embarrassed." Nice to know not everyone in that house was completely blind. I turned around and gave them a small nod. "Don't worry," I said calmly. "I'm not that easy to break." They both did that awkward smile people do when they realize you heard everything. One of them mumbled, "Sorry, we didn't mean to." "It's fine," I cut in. "Honestly, I'm just glad someone else witnessed it. Makes me feel less like I imagined the whole thing." They exchanged another glance. That's when I realized something important. She'd probably been doing this longer than I thought. And people had seen it. They just assumed I was okay with it. That's on me, to be fair. For years, I'd treated her little jabs like background noise. I'd roll my eyes, change the subject, and move on. The problem with that approach is simple. If you let someone treat you like a clown long enough, one day they'll feel confident enough to slap you in full makeup in front of the whole circus. I took my wine and leaned back against the counter, watching the doorway. I didn't have to wait long. Melissa swept into the kitchen with two of her close friends glued to her sides. I know the type. Self-proclaimed, strong, independent women who become mysteriously weak if a man doesn't text back in 15 minutes. She spotted me and instantly switched into performance mode. "There he is," she said loudly, as if presenting a problematic exhibit. "The jealous husband." Her friends looked at me the way people look at a wild animal behind glass. Curious, slightly amused, absolutely certain it can't hurt them. I could have ignored it, but honestly, I was tired. "Jealous?" I repeated. "Because I asked my wife to talk to me privately instead of flirting with a stranger like it's speed dating?" Her friend, the blonde one, jumped in. "Whoa," she said. "No need to accuse her of flirting. She was just talking. Don't be controlling." I smiled. "You're right. My bad. Next time I see my wife stroking some guy's arm and giggling into his face, I'll send a thumbs up from across the room." One of them snorted. Even she couldn't help it. Melissa shot her a look, then turned back to me, eyes narrowed. "This is what I mean," she told her friends. "He always makes everything about him. I can't even have a normal conversation without him acting like I belong to him." I tilted my head slightly. "I don't think you belong to me," I said. "I just thought we were, I don't know, married?" That made the brunette friend shift uncomfortably. "Guys, maybe we should," she started, but Melissa cut her off. "No," Melissa said, louder now, needing an audience. "He always does this. Anytime I'm talking to someone, he appears. Like some kind of patrol." "Oh, I'm upgraded from husband to security guard now," I replied. "Nice. Do I at least get paid?" Her friends smiled again, trying not to. Melissa hated that. She rolled her eyes dramatically. "You see?" she said, addressing them like I wasn't there. "He twists everything. He makes these little comments and then acts like I'm the problem." I took a slow sip of wine and looked her straight in the eyes. "You told me not to embarrass myself," I said quietly. "In front of everyone. Remember that?" Melissa's jaw clenched. Her friends shifted, clearly remembering the tone she'd used. "Because you were about to make a scene," she snapped. "You grabbed me in front of people. I just wanted to tell you to chill." "You could have whispered," I said. "But yeah, yelling works too." The blonde friend cleared her throat. "Maybe you guys should just talk tomorrow," she suggested. "You know, when you're both calm?" "I am calm," I said. That was the part that bothered Melissa the most. I wasn't raising my voice. I wasn't playing the villain in her version of events. She hated when I didn't stick to the script. "Look," Melissa said, folding her arms, "I'm allowed to talk to other people. I'm not your property. You can't control who I speak to." "True," I nodded. "And I'm allowed to think you're being disrespectful. That's not control. That's observation." Her friends went very quiet. Too logical. She couldn't twist that without sounding ridiculous. So she did what she always did when logic didn't bend. She went for character assassination. "He's been like this for months," Melissa told them. "Checking where I am, asking who I'm with, questioning every little thing. It's suffocating." I raised my eyebrows. That's interesting, I said, because from my side, it felt less like checking on you and more like trying to understand why my wife suddenly acts like talking to me is a punishment. But sure, let's call it suffocating. Sounds more dramatic. The brunette friend looked at her. Wait, is that true? She asked gently. Have you guys been having problems? Melissa didn't miss a beat. Only because he's insecure, she said. He can't handle the idea that I'm attractive and people like talking to me. Right, my fault again. Default setting. I took a breath and decided to end this little theater. Okay, I said, putting my empty glass in the sink. You know what? You can all stay here and enjoy the He's Insecure show. I'm going to step away before I accidentally prove your point by having a human emotion. I looked at her friends. For the record, I added, I don't mind her having friends. I mind the part where basic respect left the chat. Then I left the kitchen, not because I was running away, because arguing with someone who's performing for an audience is like trying to have a serious conversation with someone while they're live on Instagram. They're not talking to you. They're talking to everyone else watching. I walked down the hallway into a quieter part of the house. The noise faded, the light dimmed. I found an almost empty living room, just a lamp in the corner, a couch, a few shelves with books no one had touched in years. I stood there in the semi-darkness and let my brain finally process everything. The sarcasm, the eye rolls, the way she spoke about me like I was some annoying coworker, not her husband. It was like watching the last 10 months of my life line up in my head and form a very clear sentence. She doesn't respect you. And here's the thing. Love can survive a lot, but respect? Once that's gone, you're just two people sharing bills. I took my phone out of my pocket, checked the time, then put it back. I wasn't going to yell. I wasn't going to throw a fit. If she wanted a show, she'd pick the wrong actor. I was just about to sit down on the arm of the couch when I heard footsteps and familiar voices heading toward the room. Melissa's laugh, his voice. They walked in, lights low, talking, assuming the room was empty. They didn't see me. Yet. They walked in the way people do when they think they're alone. Relaxed, careless, too honest for their own good. Melissa's voice came first, sharp and amused. He's just being ridiculous, she said. He always does this. The guy, Chad, or whatever his actual name was, gave a low chuckle. I mean, he looked kinda upset, he said. You sure he's not gonna, make this a thing? Melissa scoffed hard enough to blow out a candle. Oh, please, he won't do anything. He never does. He's all talk, zero action. He hates conflict. He'll probably apologize to me later. I raised an eyebrow in the dark. Apologize? Fascinating plot twist. Even I didn't know that was in my script. Chad didn't sound convinced. I don't know, he said. The way he looked at you. I thought he was about to say something. Yeah, she laughed. And then he didn't? Like always? He never finishes anything? Arguments, projects, plans. He starts strong and then fades out. It's just how he is. Oh, wow, I thought. Character assassination speedrun. Chad hummed, thinking it over. So, your friends think he's controlling? Melissa didn't hesitate. They think he's insecure, she corrected. And honestly, they're right. I can't even talk to another guy without him hovering like some watchdog. Watchdog? Cute. At least watchdogs are loyal and respected. I shifted slightly, still in the shadow behind the bookcase. Chad asked quietly, So, are you guys okay? As a couple? Melissa sighed dramatically, the kind of sigh people do when they want sympathy. I don't know, she said. I mean, look at him. He's so passive, so stiff. He doesn't get me. He never has. I had several thoughts at once. Stiff? I bend over backward for you, but okay. Passive? I literally left the room to avoid humiliating you, but all right. Doesn't get you? Honey, even Google Translate doesn't get you. But I stayed still. She wasn't done. And honestly, she continued. I just feel better around people who have energy, who make me feel seen. He doesn't give me that. He hasn't in a long time. Chad nodded, clearly enjoying how the ball was rolling. Well, for what it's worth, he said softly. You deserve someone who appreciates you. Melissa giggled. Oh, stop, she whispered. That "oh, stop" had more electricity than our last 5 anniversaries combined. Chad leaned in a little closer, not enough to touch, but close enough for intention. I'm just saying, he murmured. Some people would never ignore someone like you. Melissa's voice dropped lower, smug and confident. And some people are married, she reminded him, like it was a minor detail, a parking ticket, an inconvenience. He shrugged. You didn't seem too married out there. I exhaled through my nose, slow, controlled, like a man mentally filing away a document titled, "Ah, so that's the situation." Melissa laughed quietly. Trust me, she said. He won't do anything. He's scared to lose me. That one hit my pride just enough to make something click in my chest. I stepped forward, not loudly, not aggressively, just a calm, deliberate step into the faint light. They both froze. Melissa's eyes widened. Chad's mouth opened slightly like he was about to apologize to a police officer. I didn't say a word. I just looked at them. The same look you give a pair of raccoons caught rummaging in your trash at 3 a.m. No emotion, no shouting, just quiet acknowledgement. Melissa swallowed hard. How long have you been standing there? She asked. I tilted my head. Long enough, I said, voice steady, calm, almost bored. Chad stammered. Hey man, listen, I raised a hand. No need, I said. I'm not here to interrupt. Please, continue whatever conversation you thought I'd never hear. Melissa's face turned red. Not from shame, but from panic that her narrative had cracked in front of a witness. I took one step closer, not threatening, just present. Don't worry, I added quietly. I won't embarrass myself. That line hit her like a slap made of irony. Then I turned around and walked out of the room without waiting for reactions. Leaving them standing there, speechless, was better than any argument. Because some moments don't need an explosion, sometimes silence hurts more. I walked out of that room feeling weirdly peaceful. Not happy, not angry, just steady. Like when you finally understand a puzzle you've been staring at too long. It doesn't feel good, but it feels clear. The noise of the party washed over me again as I stepped into the hallway. Conversations, laughter, terrible music choices, all of it sounded distant, like I was underwater. Melissa didn't follow me. Neither did Chad. Which honestly was for the best, because I wasn't in the mood to hear any "it's not what it looked like" nonsense. I leaned against the wall, thinking over everything she'd said in that room. He never finishes anything. He's passive. He's scared of losing me. He won't do anything. Interesting. For years she'd mistaken calmness for weakness, silence for fear, restraint for submission. People like her always think the quiet ones have no teeth. They only realize the truth when those same quiet ones finally bite. I didn't stay long after that. I grabbed my jacket from the coat rack and started making my way toward the door. That's when I heard her behind me. "Where are you going?" Melissa asked, breathless, like she'd been running. I didn't turn around immediately. Instead, I finished putting on my jacket. "Home," I said simply. She stepped in front of me, blocking the doorway. The same woman who'd told me not to embarrass myself, now looking like she was auditioning for a role titled Wife Who's Suddenly Concerned. "You're leaving?" she asked. "Why?" I gave her a slow blink. "The party's over, for me anyway." She huffed, incredulous. "Seriously? Are you angry? Is that it?" "No," I said. "I'm done." She blinked. "Done with what?" "With pretending this is normal," I answered. She laughed. A nervous, shaky laugh. "Oh my God, you're being dramatic. We were just talking. You totally misunderstood something." I tilted my head. "Sure," I said. "Let's call it a misunderstanding, if that helps you sleep tonight." She frowned, crossing her arms. "Can you stop acting like I cheated on you?" Nothing happened. "Didn't say it did. Then what is your problem?" I looked at her for a moment, deciding just how honest I wanted to be. "You humiliated me," I said. "In front of people, loudly, intentionally. And then you went into another room and called me passive, insecure, and scared of you." Her eyes widened. "You heard that?" "I was standing 6 feet away," I replied. "Not like you whispered." Now she looked genuinely nervous. "Okay," she said quickly. "Okay, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have said that. But you scared me earlier. You were acting weird. You grabbed my arm. I touched your elbow." "Calm down, Shakespeare." She glared. "You're twisting it." "No," I said. "For once, I'm not twisting anything." She shifted her weight, suddenly defensive. "I didn't mean it like that," she muttered. "I was just annoyed. You came in at a bad moment, but that's it. You're blowing this out of proportion." "And you're minimizing it," I said. "Impressive teamwork." For a second, she had no comeback. Then she tried again. "Please don't make a scene now. Everyone's looking." I looked behind her. Nobody was looking. Everyone was busy dancing, drinking, and pretending to enjoy the playlist someone stole from TikTok. I locked eyes with her again. "No scene," I said. "Don't worry." "So, what? You're going home to sulk?" I almost laughed. "No, I'm going home to think, and tomorrow I'll start collecting facts, not feelings. Facts." Her face tightened. "What facts?" "You'll see." She took a small step back, as if suddenly aware that something shifted between us, that the foundation she thought I stood on wasn't just cracked. It was gone. "Honey," she said, softening her tone unnaturally. "Don't do anything stupid." "Don't worry," I said. "I don't do stupid. I do accurate." She opened her mouth to protest again, but I stepped past her gently and reached the front door. As I pulled it open, she grabbed my wrist. "Wait, just listen. You're overreacting." I slipped my hand free. "Good night, Melissa." And with that, I walked out into the cool evening air. The door closed behind me, a quiet sound, but it felt louder than her shouting earlier. Walking to my car, I felt strangely awake. Like I'd been living on autopilot for months and suddenly flipped the switch back to manual. I wasn't planning revenge, I wasn't planning drama, I wasn't planning anything emotional. I was planning to gather information, quietly, calmly, properly. Not to win a fight. I didn't need to win. Just to see the truth laid out clearly. So when the time came, there'd be no way to twist it. The next morning, Melissa acted like nothing happened. Classic. She walked into the kitchen wearing my hoodie, the universal "I'm pretending everything is fine" costume, and said in her brightest voice, "Morning, I made coffee." Which was hilarious, because she hadn't made coffee for me since, I think, the Obama administration. I took the mug she offered, nodded once, and sat down at the table. She hovered near the sink like a cartoon wife waiting for applause. "So, about last night," she began, swirling her spoon around an empty cup just to keep her hands busy. "I think we both got a little carried away." I sipped my coffee. "No," I said calmly. "Only one of us did." Her smile tightened. "Right. Well, okay, maybe I was a bit harsh, but you know how parties are. Loud, stressful, too much going on. Emotions, alcohol, you know." I stared at her over the rim of the mug. "You weren't drunk," I said. "You were accurate." She blinked, thrown off. "Accurate?" "You said how you really feel," I replied. "I appreciate honesty, even accidental honesty." Melissa opened her mouth, closed it, then tried again. "Can we please not do this? You're overthinking things." You took everything way too seriously. You know I just talk sometimes. That's the problem, I said. You talk. A lot. Especially when you think nobody's listening. She froze for a half second, just enough for me to see the guilt flicker across her face like a faulty light bulb. How long were you in that room? She asked quietly. Long enough to hear the highlights? She set her fake empty cup on the counter a bit too forcefully. I can't believe you're spying on me. I gave her a look. You walked into a room without checking if anyone was there. That's not spying. That's existing. She threw her hands up. Oh my God, here we go. So everything I said is suddenly some big crime? You're acting paranoid. Paranoid would mean I imagined it, I said. I didn't. I heard it. You're twisting everything again. No, Melissa. For once, I'm not twisting a thing. I'm repeating. She stared at me, like she couldn't believe I wasn't falling into my usual role. The apologetic, conflict-avoiding husband who tries to keep the peace. But peace is useless when only one person respects it. She tried a different tactic. You know that guy, Chad? He's just friendly. We barely know each other. You're blowing everything up in your head. I hummed. Friendly, I said. Right. That explains the giggling, the arm touching, the whole he never finishes anything speech. Her jaw clenched. You're exaggerating what I said. No, I corrected. I'm quoting. She groaned dramatically, storming to the fridge and slamming it shut again, just for effect. You're impossible, she snapped. Do you want me to say sorry? Is that it? No, I said. She blinked. That threw her completely off balance. You don't? No, I repeated. I want clarity. Clarity about what? Everything, I said. So I'm collecting facts. As of today. She narrowed her eyes suspiciously. What does that even mean? It means I'm finally paying attention. Melissa scoffed. Great. So now you're some kind of detective? This is ridiculous. Probably, I said with a shrug. But ridiculous is still better than blind. She fell silent, chewing on her lip. A sign she was nervous but pretending not to be. She hated when she couldn't predict my next sentence. She tried softening her voice. Honey, please don't make this into some big deal. It already is, I said. Her shoulders tensed at my tone. Calm, measured, completely unbothered. Calmness scares manipulators. They can't work with it. Too slippery. No handle to grab. After a few seconds of silence, she spoke again. Are you planning something? Her voice was small now. Careful. Yes, I answered. She swallowed. Can you tell me what it is? No. Why not? Because you'll try to spin it before I finish. That shut her up instantly. I finished my coffee and stood up, placing the mug in the sink. I have work, I said. She stared at me, unsure whether she should hug me, yell at me, or accuse me of something else entirely. She settled for, so that's it? You're just leaving? For now, I said. Don't worry, I won't embarrass myself. Her mouth opened, probably for another lecture, but I walked out before she could start. In the car, I didn't feel rage or heartbreak or devastation. I felt focus. It was like something clicked into place. The next days became a calm, almost methodical routine. I didn't dig frantically. I didn't stalk or snoop dramatically. Nothing like that. I just observed. And wow. When you start paying attention, people reveal themselves quickly. Her phone lighting up at 1:12 a.m. Face down, of course. Notification banner hidden. She told me it was Laura sending memes. Laura was asleep by 10 every night. She said she was working late, but her GPS history said she was at a cafe in another part of town, twice. She deleted messages, not all, just select threads. The absence of evidence is its own kind of evidence. Receipts in her bag from places we'd never been together. One of them had 2 drinks on it, at noon, on a Wednesday. Small things, tiny things, But facts don't need to scream to be true. Meanwhile, Melissa started noticing my shift. The silence, the distance, the way I didn't react to provocations or guilt traps. She'd try small tests. You're quiet today? Yes. Are you mad at me? No. So? You're fine? Never better. That scared her the most. Passive men panic. Calm men plan. One night, 4 days after the party, she approached me on the couch like a nervous intern approaching their boss after messing up an email. Honey, can we talk? Sure. She sat beside me, twisting her fingers. I feel like you're being weird lately, distant. It's making me uncomfortable. That's surprising, I said. I didn't realize my discomfort mattered. She winced at that. That's not fair, she whispered. Neither is being publicly humiliated, I said calmly. She inhaled sharply. That again? You're still on about that? No, I said. I'm on about everything that came after. She froze. What do you mean? Facts, I said simply. And there are more than enough now. Her eyes darted, panic, confusion, calculation. She tried again, voice trembling slightly. Honey, don't do anything stupid, please. Relax, I said, standing up. I won't embarrass myself. Her own words thrown back gently, and she felt it, because manipulators can smell when the ground beneath them is about to shift. And the ground under her, it was already moving. On Saturday morning, I decided it was time. No more collecting, no more observing, no more waiting for her to accidentally confess through bad acting and nervous rambling. I walked into the living room, sat at the table and said, Melissa, we need to talk. She froze mid-scroll on her phone. That sentence, coming from me in that tone, hit her like a bucket of ice. She walked toward the table slowly, like she wasn't sure if she was being called in for a conversation, a firing, or an exorcism. Okay, she said carefully. What's going on? I placed my phone on the table, screen down. Calm. I told you I was collecting facts, I said, and I think it's time to show you what I found. Her eyes narrowed instantly. What facts? About what? I leaned back in my chair. About us, or more accurately, about you. She swallowed. Honey, don't do this. No, I said. Don't you do this. Don't try to derail the conversation before it starts. She crossed her arms. Fine, what facts? Go ahead, impress me. She said it sarcastically, but her voice cracked on the last word. I started slow, calm, deliberate, the way surgeons cut. Let's begin with Wednesday, I said. You told me you were working late, but your GPS history says you were at a cafe across town. She stiffened. That's wrong. Maybe the app glitched. Sure, I said. And the receipt I found in your bag from that same cafe? 2 drinks, 1 iced, 1 not? Noon? Glitched too? Her lips parted. It was just a meeting with a coworker. We were talking about a project. Oh? I raised an eyebrow. A project that involved hiding the message thread afterward? She inhaled sharply. I delete messages all the time. Just not ours. Interesting pattern. She opened her mouth, but nothing came out. I continued. And the late-night texts? The ones that made your phone light up at 1:12 a.m.? Just memes from Laura, right? Yes, she said quickly. Too quickly. Yes, she sends stupid videos. Cool, I asked her. Melissa went dead still. What? What did she say? That she was asleep at 10, as usual. Melissa's hands trembled slightly. She tried to speak, but her throat clicked instead of forming vowels. I didn't stop. And then, I said, there's the party. Her eyes flicked up, wide, scared. You told me you barely know that guy, that it was just friendly talk. It was, she whispered. Friendly, I repeated. Right. So friendly you told him I'm passive, scared to lose you, and that I never finish anything. She flinched as if slapped. You weren't supposed to hear that. But I did, I said, because you assumed I'd left the room, just like you assumed I'd never do anything. She covered her mouth with her hands. then dropped them again just as fast, angry at herself for looking guilty. "This is insane," she said. "You're twisting everything. You were spying, hiding, sneaking around." I held up my palm. "No." I walked into a half-lit room and stood still. "You walked in and said exactly what you think of me. That's not spying. That's bad timing." Her voice cracked. Okay, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have said those things. I was upset." "You weren't upset," I said. "You were comfortable enough to drop the filter." Tears gathered in her eyes, the kind she used to control the outcome of arguments. "Not today." She wiped them quickly. "Honey, please, don't throw everything away because of one stupid night. This isn't about one night." "Then what?" she burst out. "What is this all about?" I took a breath. "It's about respect," I said. "Something you stopped giving long before that party." She shook her head violently. No, that's not true. I love you. I don't want to lose you." "That's the funny part," I said softly. "You only realized that when you saw me finally step back." She stared at me, breathing fast. "Honey, please don't leave. We can fix this. We can go to therapy. We can talk. I'll stop joking about you. I'll stop hanging out with people who make me act stupid. I swear." I leaned forward. "Melissa." She stopped instantly. "You wanted me not to embarrass myself," I said. "So I won't." I stood up. "And I'm not going to fight you, or scream, or beg. I'm just done." She reached for my arm. "Don't say that," she whispered. "Please don't say that. I can change. I'll be better. I'll do anything. Just don't leave." I gently pulled my arm away. "I'm leaving," I said. "Not to punish you. Not to hurt you. Just because I finally understand what staying here turns me into." Her voice cracked into a sob. "Don't do this. Please, I'm begging you." I picked up my jacket from the chair. "You didn't respect me when you thought I'd stay forever," I said. "And now that I'm leaving, you only respect the consequences." She slid down into a chair, covering her face with her hands. I walked to the door. When I opened it, she lifted her head, crying. "Please don't go," she whispered. "I can't lose you." I looked at her, not with anger, not with hatred, with clarity. "You didn't lose me tonight," I said. "You lost me months ago. Tonight was just when I noticed." I stepped outside, closed the door gently. No slam, no dramatic exit, no scene, just quiet. The kind of quiet that feels like standing in clean air after months in a smoke-filled room. I walked to my car, got inside, and sat for a moment. I wasn't shaking. I wasn't crying. I wasn't even angry. I felt free. For the first time in a long time, the world felt light. I started the engine. And in my head, the story ended simply in one short sentence. She thought her little phrase would break me. Instead, it opened the door. If you felt this story hit hard, drop a like, subscribe for more, and share your thoughts in the comments. Your support keeps Steelheart beating.